Hello, my name's Toby Skerritt from Foundation IT, and today I'm here to talk to you about cost management within a Windows virtual desktop environment. Cost management's a pretty important subject because anybody that's used any cloud-based services will be aware that you are continuously paying for services whilst they're running in a cloud environment. So any opportunity that you can take to reduce those costs by dynamically starting up and shutting down services as they're required will make a big difference to the bills that you receive. And we've got an example of that here. At the top, we can see a steady state environment without any dynamic scaling. And at the bottom, a WVD dynamically managed environment managed via a product called Nerdio Manager for WVD. I think it's fairly obvious from the graphs that we can see, and these include costs for storage and compute, the vast majority being the lighter blue compute costs. You can see that in a steady state environment, all day, every day, you are paying for the resources that are enabled. So you can see that on average, these resources are costing £30 a day. This is for a fairly small Windows virtual desktop deployment. But crucially, that includes evenings and weekends when devices may not be required or may only be required at a reduced scale. So if you can compare that to the graph below, where we can see that dynamic scaling is in use, devices are shut down by schedule, and we can see it's fairly obvious where the weekends fall, because we're reducing hosts down to a single instance rather than multiple instances. And this means we can still allow users to connect out of hours, evenings, weekends, but we're reducing the cost overhead. We are having a single host available for users to connect to rather than multiple hosts in this instance, which you can see reduces the overall cost profile down to, during the working week, around the sort of £22–23 mark. But over the weekend, halves the costs as compared to a steady state environment because we're only running a single host. This isn't a particularly aggressive scaling scenario either, where we're still leaving hosts available. In many use cases, we might be able to shut down hosts completely over weekends and during the evening to save even more costs. As I mentioned previously, Foundation IT use a product called Nerdio Manager for WVD to manage and orchestrate the scaling of these environments. Now, Nerdio Manager for WVD is a great product, and we'd love to talk to you more about it if you have an interest in deploying Windows Virtual Desktop or managing an existing environment. One of its best features, I think, among the many it offers, is the ability to scale up and scale down these host pools dynamically. So you can see in this fairly brief example we have here, this is the scaling logic for the pool we were looking at previously. You can see we're setting a maximum pool of 35 sessions per host, and we're maintaining up to 5 sessions available as part of our scaling logic. So what that means is that no matter what other rules we put in place, we'll make sure that there is a host which can facilitate 5 sessions available at all times. And that's to cover off this requirement that we may have for users to connect to this environment in the evening or perhaps at the weekend. You can see in the scaling restrictions section that we are only running these scale in operations between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. We don't want services to scale in during the working day. We want it to happen after people have finished working. Obviously, this is subject to your own environment, and that can be changed. And you can see that we're also pre-staging hosts. So to avoid the morning rush of users logging on to the host pool environment, we're making sure that these hosts are pre-staged by 5 a.m. You can see we've got 2 hosts to be available Monday to Friday at 5 a.m. just to make sure that nobody has to wait during logon storms to access a host. And the result of the scaling logic that we put in place, as you can see for this environment, makes for a pretty significant saving. This is essentially showing you what the 2 graphs were showing you on the previous screen, but you can see that in this environment, fairly small environment with around 100 users, we are seeing a net monthly saving of over $1,000, so 800, 900 pounds, as compared to a steady state environment. That is a huge saving, and one that allows this product to pay for itself over the course of a year, in most instances, certainly where you're using auto scaling. Hopefully that gives you a good overview of how Foundation IT look to manage costs within a WVD environment. If this is something that you are interested in, please feel free to contact us, and we'd be happy to speak to you. Thank you.